And everything seemed to dry up because I'm older. When bishops look at me, they go, oh, he's old. Oh, and he's a banker from Wall Street. No, we don't want him. And so I had no more places to go. And I said, how is this going to work? So I finally said to the Lord, you know what? Maybe I mixed this up. Maybe I wasn't really called after all. Maybe this was just for my own self-betterment, that I would become a good person. So I give you this vocation back. It's yours anyway. My mother went to Medjugorje in I think 1989. My sister, her fiance was in a very bad car wreck and he was left in a coma for about 6 months. And so they decided to come to Medjugorje to pray for a miracle. And that's the first time I heard of it. Yeah, I didn't believe in it. When I was young, when I was just about 10 or 11, I was abused by a priest, and I made a conscious decision, I will never go back to church. And so I left the church for 20-something years and decided I would be rich. So I pursued banking and money, and after college, I moved into Manhattan, and I worked on Wall Street, made lots of money. But I became very unhappy because happiness doesn't come from money. It comes from relationship with Jesus. And I didn't know why I was unhappy, and I started having nightmares, the same nightmare every night, which I was drowning, and there were babies drowning around me. I couldn't reach them. And then I would wake up and I couldn't sleep. I was up for months that I had no sleep. And then I was renting a house in Amalfi, Italy, a big villa with friends to just have fun for the summer. And one of my New York friends said she was going to this place, Medjugorje, and she wanted to know if I wanted to come because she didn't feel comfortable. The war had just ended. And I said, well, it's just across from Italy. It has to be the same as Italy, right? There'll be good food and good wine, and it would be wonderful. So I went to Medjugorje in 1998. And when I got to Medjugorje, it was a very tiring trip. And I looked around, it was mostly old ladies praying the rosary. And I said, I don't belong here. So I said, I'm tired, I'm going to go to sleep. And in the morning, I will find a car out of here. So I went to bed, and I woke up in the morning with a tremendous feeling of goodness. And I can't explain it to people because you have to feel it to know what I'm talking about. But to say it's peace is not enough. I felt like everything was right with me and the world, with me, with God, with everything. And I hadn't gone to confession. So it was a gift. It was a miraculous gift. When you work on Wall Street, it's cutthroat business, so you have to be mean to get ahead. You have to be a hard person, cynical, angry, relentless, very focused on yourself, on your advancement. So this lifestyle brings about an interior chaos in a person. So there's no God living there. So when I felt this good, I said, if it feels like this to be in Medjugorje, I'm going to stay the whole week. I knew enough from my childhood that I had to go to confession before I could, participate in the Mass fully. And so I went to the church to find a priest. And I knew, it was a 20-year confession, so it would have to be, as I say, a very merciful priest. So I looked for somebody in my mind that would look like he would not judge me. And outside, there was a priest who was talking with a bunch of ladies, telling jokes. They were all laughing at him. He was smoking a cigarette. He was tan and handsome. I said, this is the priest. This is a Hollywood priest. I will go to him. So I went. I said, can you hear my confession? He said, yes, of course. And he heard my whole 20-year confession of my living crazy life in New York. And at the end, he absolved me. And then he said these very strange words. He says, I think you have a vocation to be a priest. And I looked at him and said, what? Do you not understand English? Did you not hear the confession? And he said, all things are possible with God. And I said, okay, thank you. And I said, that's the last I thought of it. I went on my way. I spent the whole week participating in the whole experience. So the evening program with the rosary, mass, confessions, climbing Cross Mountain, Apparition Hill, Blue Cross, everything. And then I went home. And that's when life gets actually difficult, because then you have to actually put it into practice. It's much easier being here because everybody's doing this. But in New York, not everybody is doing this. So I had to let go of many friends who were not good influences. I joined the Wall Street Young Catholics Association, very good community of practicing Catholics. I walked to work every day so I could pray the rosary in the morning and in the evening while I'm walking. I would go to Mass on my lunch hour. And within about a month, I was living very good Catholic life. Not just minimum, but more. It's about that time that one of the priests in the parish took notice of me. He had not seen me there before. And so he started talking to me, and he said, I think you need a spiritual director. And so I said, okay. And so we began meeting on a weekly basis. And the first thing he said is, you have to start praying to God, asking if this is what he wants you to do with your life, because maybe it isn't. Because you never asked before, did you? I said, no, I didn't ever ask. So I started praying, do you want me to stay in my job or should I do something else? And I did this for about a week. And I came back to the priest and I said, he hasn't answered me, so he must want me to stay here. And he's a very wise priest, and he said this, well, let's just review your life. So you left the church for 20 years, and you ignored God, and then you came back to the church, and then you prayed for 1 week, and he didn't answer you. Is that what you're saying? And I said, yes, that's what I'm saying. He said, do you think you're being impatient? I said, maybe. So he said, keep praying. So I prayed for a month. I prayed for 6 months. I prayed for a year. 18 months after this prayer every day. It was November 5th of 2000, and I was sitting in the pew after communion on a Sunday Mass, and I heard a voice say, come follow me, just like this, outside my head, out here. So I turn around, and there's nobody sitting near me. And then I realized, oh, it's you. So you do have a voice. And I said, okay, I will follow you. I don't know where we're going, but I will follow you. So the next day I called in sick and prayed about it, and then the following day I resigned from my position. And that's when I began seeking out how to follow Jesus in a more defined way. So I decided I would do this the way I do everything, how I was trained to in my business experience. So I put up spreadsheets, all the religious orders, the charisms, where they're located, and the formation time. Dominicans, 12 years, no. Jesuits, 12 years, no. Legionaries of Christ, 12 years, no, too long. It turns out diocesan is the shortest, 4 years. I said, I will go to diocesan. About this time, 9/11 happened, and I was living 4 blocks from the Trade Center. And so now I have no job. Now I can't get home. There's no way to live there because they closed Lower Manhattan for 2 months. So a priest had come down from Boston to do a healing mass for the widows. And one of my friends worked at Cantor, and so his wife wanted to go to the mass. So I said, I will take you. So we go to the mass, and in the middle, after the mass before lunch, the priest says, I want to talk to him, bring him over. Me. So I go, and this is exactly what he said. He goes, what are you doing with your life? Just like that. It was almost rude. And I said, nothing. I don't have a job and I don't have a home. And he said, maybe the Lord's calling you to Boston. And he walked away. His name is Father Tom DiLorenzo. He's still alive. He's the most dynamic priest I've ever experienced because he lives the gospel. He literally lives it. Right after I moved up there was a terrible blizzard. It was in Boston. I went up there on the Feast of the Archangels, and about mid-December, a big blizzard hits, and the news is saying, don't go outside because you can die. Well, right shortly after that, he's calling up, Danny, get your coat. We're going out. And I said, Father, they're saying we could die. And he goes, that's ridiculous. So you know who's going to die tonight? The homeless. So we get in his car, his truck, and we start picking up homeless people. And we pick them up. We take them back to the church. We go out. We keep picking them up, picking up, till we can't find any more. And then he goes home and he cooks homemade meatballs and big spaghetti and feeds everybody. And then he preaches the gospel to them, how much God loves them. and then gives them blankets and says, stay here, turns up the heat, and in the morning I'll cook breakfast. So as I'm walking back to the rectory, I said, I didn't know priests could do this, because this is like actually helping people, not just praying. And he says, yes, of course we can do this. You can't pray with somebody if they're dead. So I said, why isn't everybody doing this? Why isn't every church doing this? And he said something. He goes, we're very poor. And there's a gift of poverty that we don't worry about people stealing our candlesticks. And so our doors are open. About this time, he says, you should apply to go to the seminary here. And I put an application in. And then the scandal happened, the sex scandal in Boston. I don't know if anybody realizes how big it was there. Every day there was a new story on the cover for months. And it was killing the people of Boston. The Catholics were so ashamed. And it was a very difficult time. And then I was reliving my own experience as a child because it was bringing it all back. And so this was a very difficult time, but also a time of healing because it gave me the opportunity to start praying for the priests who were doing these things, which I'd never done. And so this happens, and I'm not going to Boston for seminary. And I wound up going to a contemplative hermit group in Nebraska. And so for 5 years, I became a contemplative hermit, which most of the day we pray. The charism of this community was so unique. It was the cross. The whole charism is centered around we lay down our lives and offer it to Jesus so he can make it grace to send and save souls. This is very important because in the seminary, they teach the man how to be the good shepherd, but they don't teach him how to be the lamb of sacrifice. And this is why you'll see many priests that have difficulty laying down their life and what they want to do so that the church can advance and go forward. It's something that's lacking in most seminaries. I can't say for all, but the ones I've been to, it seems that this is not taught, that this is primary. When you think about his mission was focused on this event. All of the years leading up were important, but this is the moment where he triumphs and wins redemption. So if the priest doesn't know that, he's not willing to say, yes, I would like to do this, but this is more important because this is what God wants me to do today. So yes, I will get up, I will go to the hospital. Even with COVID, many priests were afraid to anoint. And then the hospital said, you can't come in anyway. I was very lucky. I said to the nurses, well, you go into the room, so why can't I go in the room? Oh, we have a special mask. It seals our face. I said, get me the mask. And so in Tennessee, where I am, they made me a mask so I can go, so I can anoint everybody. Even if you're not Catholic, I'll come and pray with you because I have the special mask. I laughed because I said, you know what my mask is? It's my baptism. I'm sealed in the blood. Let me in. That was an important 5 years to learn that this is so central to the life of the Catholic. And I went back to New York, and everything seemed to dry up because I'm older. When bishops look at me, they go, oh, he's old. Oh, and he's a banker from Wall Street. No, we don't want him. And so I had no more places to go. And I said, how is this going to work? So I finally said to the Lord, you know what? Maybe I mixed this up. Maybe I wasn't really called after all. Maybe this was just for my own self-betterment that I would become a good person. So I give you this vocation back. It's yours anyway. If you want me to be ordained, have a bishop call me. And I kind of said that like, it's never going to happen, but that's how we'll do it. And I stopped looking, and I went back to work. Well, 3 months later, I get a phone call from a man who has a Southern accent, and he says, hello? I said, hello. And he says, is this Daniel Reehil? And I said, yes. Who's this? This is Bishop David Chobe from Tennessee. And I said, oh, really? And he said, well, I'm the bishop here in Nashville. I'd like you to come meet with me. And so he flew me out, and we met. He's not like most bishops. Most bishops, they shake your hand and they meet you for a few minutes, and then they give you to the vocation director because they're busy people. He picks me up at the airport. And I said, you're picking me up? And he goes, is that a problem? And I said, no, but bishops don't pick up seminarians at the airport. They send somebody else. He said, well, we're different down here. He takes me to his personal home where he lives alone, and we stay there for a week. I'm in his home. And after a week, he says, well, Daniel, I think you should come to Tennessee and be a priest here. I'm inviting you. And so I said yes, and that brought me to Tennessee. 6 months later, he ordained me a deacon. 6 months after that, he ordained me a priest. So this is what got me to the final steps to the altar, is I had to surrender everything before he would let me go forward. Because that's important too, to learn how to let go of everything, even the biggest hopes you have, and then he moves you forward. Just a final note about that first priest that heard my confession. His name is Father Brandomir. He used to be here in Medjugorje, but then they moved him out. So I haven't seen him in 19 years. Now, I remember him because that was a pivotal moment in my own life. So now I'm a priest, and I bring a group back from Tennessee to Medjugorje. And we go out one day to see the statue in Tialina. And the tour guide says, wait right here, the pastor's coming out to say hello. And out walks Father Brandomir. And I recognize him because this is the priest who heard my 20-year confession. But then he looks at me and goes, "Oh my, you became a priest." And I said, "You remember me?" He says, "Yes, I've been praying for you." Unbelievable that he would remember one person from 20 years ago when he hears 20 confessions every day. So he took me inside. We had coffee and cupcakes and biscuits, whatever he had. And he stopped smoking, which was very good. And we caught up, and it was so great because you see how God brings everything back together, ties a little bow, makes it nice and beautiful. Yes, so to come back to Medjugorje now as a priest is a profound experience. One, because I personally know in my heart how much Our Lady loves the priests. I don't think every priest does, but I do. And so to come back to where she still is coming every day is so powerful. And now I get to exercise this ministry of grace, this ministry of mercy in hearing all these confessions, of celebrating the Holy Sacrifice of the Mass. I actually was the celebrant this past week on the 10th, where I got to celebrate the Mass here in Medjugorje. So it's a profoundly humbling to come from I had one foot in hell and another on a banana peel. So at any moment it would have been very bad. And now I'm in a place where I can reflect the glory of God and the mercy of God to the people of God, just like Our Lady does. Just profoundly, profoundly blessed.